The document didn't arrive in a stamped envelope or via a royal courier. It didn't come with a demand for cash or a frantic handwritten note. According to sources within the grey suits of Westminster, it arrived as a single, high-resolution digital file, encrypted and deposited onto a secure server late last Friday night. When the handful of intelligence officers with the proper clearance finally clicked it open, the silence in the room wasn't just shock. It was the sound of a 1,000-year-old dynasty holding its breath. For 5 years, we've debated the mystery surrounding Archie's birth. We've analyzed the secrecy, the changing doctors, and the strangely shifting timelines. But debate is a luxury the palace no longer has. Proof is a weapon, and if this leak is authentic, that weapon has just been detonated. This isn't the sanitized birth certificate shown on the news years ago. This isn't the typed-up version released months later, where Meghan Markle's job description was confusingly listed as Princess of the United Kingdom. This, according to the leak, is the original source document, the handwritten medical intake form signed by the attending physician at the precise moment of delivery. And in the box marked Mother, the name isn't Meghan Markle. The leak exposes the specific legal loophole allegedly used to bypass the born-of-the-body rule, a mechanism known in high-stakes legal circles as the adoption overlay. The document reportedly lists the birth mother as Surrogate A, with a redacted surname that matches a figure whispered about in private clubs for years. The panic in Montecito right now is described as kinetic. You can spin a podcast, but you cannot gaslight a government record. If this document is authenticated by the Parliamentary Review Board currently in session, Prince Harry hasn't just lied to the public, he has committed high treason against the line of succession. The real birth certificate tells a story that is radically different from the fairy tale we were sold. It lists a date 2 weeks prior to the official announcement. It lists a location that is definitively not the Portland Hospital in London, but a private medical facility in Santa Barbara known for high-security surrogacy deliveries. Most damning of all, it allegedly lacks the signature of the royal gynecologist, the one man whose sole job is to verify that a royal heir is legitimate. The palace didn't prepare this information to destroy Prince Harry. Insiders suggest they are preparing to release it to save the monarchy. They are cutting the cord. But the location discrepancy is just the spark. The timeline is the fuel. The leaked document is dated April 18, 2019. The world was told Archie was born on May 6th. What happened during those missing 18 days? According to the insider, this was the laundering period, the critical window during which the child was allegedly transported from the United States to the United Kingdom, not on a commercial flight, but on a private charter previously logged in aviation records as diplomatic cargo. The timeline suggests that while the world's media was camped outside Windsor waiting for an ambulance, the baby was already being settled into Frogmore Cottage, having arrived from the West Coast under a cloak of diplomatic immunity. The document reveals the existence of what legal experts call a shadow certificate. This is the sanitized version the public saw, listing Meghan Markle as the mother. But the source document, the medical intake form from the actual delivery, allegedly lists the biological parents as Prince Henry of Wales and donor egg surrogate carrier A. Legally, in California, Meghan Markle is the mother. But constitutionally, in Britain, she is an adopter. Under the rigid laws of the 1701 Act of Settlement, an adopted child, even one adopted by a prince, has zero claim to the throne. He cannot be a prince. He cannot be an heir. Legally speaking, he is a private citizen with a courtesy title. This explains everything: the refusal to pose on the hospital steps. There were no steps to pose on because the birth happened 5,000 miles away. And if the birth certificate is the gun, the money trail is the bullet. According to the leaked financial addendum attached to the source document, that bullet was fired straight at the heart of the British taxpayer. In a standard surrogacy arrangement, the fees are astronomical: legal retainers, agency fees, medical costs. It is a six-figure transaction. But according to the forensic accounting logs included in the leak, the payments to the Santa Barbara Fertility Center didn't come from Meghan Markle's personal savings. They allegedly came from a shell company registered in Delaware, which was in turn funded by a tranche of money labeled in royal accounts as renovation costs. The implication is radioactive. The public was told millions were spent renovating Frogmore Cottage to make it a family home. But this dossier suggests that a portion of those sovereign grant funds, money provided by the British people, was siphoned off to finance the procurement of an heir who had no legal right to the title. This isn't just a scandal anymore. It is embezzlement. The insider claims that palace accountants flagged these irregularities back in 2019 when they noticed wire transfers to a US-based entity called Archie LLC. When they asked questions, they were allegedly told by Prince Harry's team to back off, that it was for security. But the ledger doesn't lie. However, the most damaging revelation isn't the theft. It is the biological eraser. The original source document contains a section on genetic origin. In a natural birth, this section is blank. In this document, it is filled out in typed capital letters: maternal source, donor oocyte. Read that again. Donor oocyte. If this document is authentic, it confirms the one theory the Sussex legal team has fought hardest to suppress. Meghan Markle has zero biological connection to Archie. She didn't carry him, and she didn't contribute the egg. In the eyes of the British monarchy, this is the kill switch. A child born of a surrogate could theoretically be legitimized if the parents were the biological contributors. But a child born of a surrogate and a donor egg, that child is, legally speaking, a stranger in blood. Insiders describe the mood inside the palace as apocalyptic. King Charles is reportedly staring at a reality in which his son didn't just marry a difficult woman, he married a woman who engineered a dynastic coup. She secured a prince, and then she secured an heir using a biological patch passed off as Windsor DNA and Prince Harry. The leaked emails suggest he was the one who signed the checks. He authorized the payments to Archie. He knew he was buying a solution to a problem nature hadn't solved. The fairy tale wasn't a romance, it was a procurement. As the dossier continues, the focus shifts to the woman who carried candidate 6. The leak suggests she is no longer anonymous. The insider claims that the final page of the dossier contains a non-disclosure agreement bearing a signature that matches a woman currently living in obscurity in Oregon. But NDAs have expiration dates, and hers, according to the file, has just run out. Even worse for the Sussexes, NDAs cannot enforce silence regarding a crime, and fraud against the crown is a crime. Candidate 6 has reportedly made contact with a UK-based legal firm. Her testimony is described as devastating. She allegedly claims she was told the child would be raised privately in America by executives, not paraded on a balcony in London. She says she was misled about the scale of the deception. And now, seeing her biological child used as a pawn in a global PR war, she wants the record corrected. The palace is reportedly terrified of her, not because she will lie, but because she will tell the biological truth. The leak describes a frantic attempt by Team Sussex to secure her silence again, not with lawyers, but with cash. A wire transfer flag has reportedly appeared on the same Delaware accounts used in 2019, suggesting a desperate last-minute bid to buy the copyright to her story before she speaks to the parliamentary inquiry. But it's too late. The Oregon logs are already part of the leak. Prince Harry, for his part, is described as catatonic. He knows the rulebook better than anyone. He knows that by signing the official birth announcement, the one that claimed Meghan Markle gave birth, he didn't just lie to his family. He allegedly falsified a public record. In the UK, that is a criminal offense. The king is no longer looking for reconciliation. He's looking for a containment strategy. The instrument of removal is reportedly being drafted. It won't be a public stripping of titles on a balcony. It will be a quiet, lethal modification of the letter's patent, issuing a clarification of descent that effectively erases the children from the line of succession without ever naming them. But Meghan Markle isn't going down without a fight. Sources close to the negotiations claim that, in a frantic encrypted call to a senior courtier, she allegedly warned that if the palace proceeds with the instrument of removal, she will release the diaries. These are not just personal journals. They are described in the leak as a forensic, day-by-day log of every private conversation, every medical appointment, and every family dispute from her time in the UK. She is effectively holding the monarchy's reputation hostage to protect her own biological secret. Her message is clear: if you expose my fraud, I will expose your dysfunction. But for the first time in 5 years, the king isn't blinking. The leak suggests that King Charles has activated Protocol 17, a dormant security measure allegedly designed specifically to protect the crown from blackmail by a family member. The Grey Men are reportedly scrubbing the archives, preparing to release their own files, the counter-narrative, before Meghan Markle can drop her bombshell. The dossier references a specific redacted date in late 2019, the Sandringham Showdown. We were told this meeting was about the Megxit terms, but the leak alleges the real topic was a surrogacy waiver. The late Queen Elizabeth II, is said to have known the truth and offered them a deal: go to America, keep the titles, but never return as working royals. According to the leak, it was effectively a waiver of prosecution for the alleged fraud. But by producing the Netflix documentary and publishing Spare, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle allegedly broke that waiver, and now the walls are crumbling. The insider claims Prince Harry has been turned. Confronted with the Oregon logs, the alleged financial embezzlement records, and the reported physical presence of the donor in London, ready to testify, Harry has reportedly collapsed. He can no longer maintain the "we are victims" narrative when evidence of his own complicity is, allegedly, staring him in the face. Sources say Prince Harry has been moved to a safe house situation, not physically, but digitally. His communications are now reportedly being routed through palace servers. He is effectively in protective custody within his own marriage, no longer answering Meghan Markle's calls on the secure line. The king has allegedly offered him a deal: renounce the fraud, and we will save the man. Protect the lie, and we will destroy the prince. The donor has left the building. The affidavit is said to be in the royal archives. The amendment is reportedly on the desk. The leak describes the finalization of Letters Patent Amendment 2024, a masterpiece of diplomatic cruelty. It doesn't strip titles in a messy public ceremony. Instead, it redefines the conditions of those titles retroactively. The new wording allegedly states that all styles and dignities are reserved exclusively for issue born of the somatic biological union of the titleholder and their lawful spouse. It is a silent guillotine. The moment it is signed, Archie and Lilibet simply fade. Their titles don't need to be removed. They legally evaporate because the condition for holding them was never met. In Montecito, the silence is deafening. Meghan Markle, reportedly realizing that her nuclear option, the diaries, has been neutralized by a super injunction granted by the High Court, is said to be in a state of furious isolation. She tried to play poker with an institution that invented the deck. She believed she had leverage. She didn't realize that the monarchy values continuity over reputation. They would rather suffer the embarrassment of a surrogacy scandal than risk the corruption of the bloodline. As the sun sets on this saga, the world waits for the notification that will flash across screens globally. It won't be a birth announcement. It will be a correction of record. The king is ready to address his subjects. And the Duchess of Sussex is, according to the leak, about to become the Duchess of Nothing. And what happened to Prince Harry? Sources claim a black SUV was spotted leaving the Montecito estate late last night, flanked by diplomatic protection officers who have not been seen in California for years. He isn't running back to a palace. He is running to a safe harbor. The Spare has returned to the shelf, leaving the empty titles behind in silence.